Hi, thanks for coming to join me today. I'm going to read this story. It's about Spaceman Bob, the man on the moon. We've already heard a story about Spaceman Bob, the man on the moon, and this one's called Bob's Best Ever Friend. I'll read the blurb. Bob is back, but this time everyone's favourite man on the moon is feeling glum. What he needs is a best ever friend to help him with intergalactic missions and jigsaw puzzles. Okay, let's start. It was a Tuesday morning in space and nothing much was happening. By 10 o'clock, Bob, the man on the moon, had finished all of his jobs for the day. There were no space tourists to entertain, and his friends Billy and Sam were away on a day trip to Pluto, visiting the most exciting pet show. They hoped to see some alien animals there, but Bob thought they'd be disappointed after all. Everyone knows there's no such thing as aliens, and especially not alien animals. With nobody to talk to, Bob felt a little glum. Then at lunchtime, he even had to bounce on his bouncy castle alone, and that had never happened before. Quite frankly, Bob was just feeling a bit lonely. To cheer himself up, Bob went for a quick spin around the universe in his rocket. Nothing much was happening there either. Unfortunately, every last planet was closed for winter, so Bob stopped off on a passing asteroid to enjoy a nice cup of tea and a corned beef slice. The view was beautiful. It was just a shame that he had no one to share it with. What I need, thought Bob to himself, is a best ever friend, a chum, someone to help with intergalactic missions and jigsaw puzzles, a pal who'd always be by my side. But where on earth could he find a friend like that? If you look closer, you can notice something in the picture in the corner. For the rest of the day, Bob pondered his problem until it was time to return to Earth for a nice supper of fish fingers and peas. As a Tuesday treat, he allowed himself to eat in front of the TV. The newsreader was warning that a troublesome asteroid had been causing havoc elsewhere in the solar system and now was in danger of crashing into Earth. Bob was glued to the screen. He wished he had someone to watch the programme with. It was so exciting. As he sipped his cocoa in bed, Bob thought it would be so much easier if a best ever friend could find him instead. Can you see something on top of the asteroid here? The next day, Bob didn't have to start working till the evening, so after some early star jumps in the garden, he cycled to town to do a spot of shopping. Firstly, he had a quick peek around the modern art gallery. Then he bought 2 smallish batteries to power his rocket and a smart pair of moon-patterned underpants, half price in the sale. He also bought a newspaper, hot off the press. The streets were busier than ever. Bob wondered how on earth anyone could hope to spot a best ever friend in this place. In the midst of his daydreams, Bob suddenly found himself staring into the window of a local pet shop. Cats, rats and bats. At first he was a trifle confused. Why had he gone there? Then he remembered Clive and Keith, his cousin Dougal's goldfish. Bob was looking after them for a day or two, and that morning he thought they were looking a little pecky. As he paid for their squishy delicious fish food, a strange notion popped into Bob's head. Perhaps his best ever friend could be a pet. Bob had a good look around the inside, but he couldn't see anything that looked like a best ever friend. To tell you the truth, some of the animals looked a little odd to him. Oh well, sighed Bob to himself, you can't rush these things. His thoughts were interrupted by the chimes of a town clock. It was 4:30. Time for tea. The best tea in town was served at Moon Soup Pit Stop Cafe. Bob felt quite at home amongst the moon pictures and the decorations, although sometimes he did call it the Moonstop Pit Soup Cafe by mistake. He wondered if anyone would recognise him without his spacesuit on. No one did. So he sat quietly and nibbled his favourite moon soup crater cake. He knew it was really just a donut, but it was a tip-top tasty all the same. It was a shame there was no time for seconds, but night was falling and Bob had a job to do. The moon was waiting. Bob pedalled as fast as he could to the rocket launch pad and in a super fast flash changed into his man-on-the-moon suit. He needed to reach the moon before the first moon tourist spaceship arrived. There were snacks and entertainments to prepare. After clambering aboard and flicking lots of switches, his rocket began to rumble and Bob counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off! By 5:45 he was zooming towards the golden moon, and by 6 o'clock he was there. Someone's joining him on his rocket too. That little creature we saw earlier on the asteroid has kind of been following Bob around on the pages, and now, boo! It looks like he's jumping onto the rocket. Bob welcomed the tourists with a free mini pork pie and a speech. Then he performed his thrilling moon-themed variety show and everyone went home happy. Everyone, that is, except Bob. He was alone once more. Quietly, he packed away his props and he began his weekly crater count. And that's where it happened. There, popping out of crater 204, was a furry little tail. What could it be? The closer Bob got to it, the faster the tail wagged, and then, as if by magic, something amazing shot out the crater. No one in the whole universe would have expected to see what Bob saw at that moment. Look at his face, he's in shock. It was a dog! The most smiley, springy dog Bob had ever seen. He had no idea where it had come from or how it had even got there, but he didn't care. He didn't even care that it looked a little odd. All Bob knew was that from this moment onwards they would be best ever friends. It was as if it had been written in the stars. Oh. Bob called his dog Barry, and each day with their friends they would run and leap and they would play, except, of course, on Tuesday lunchtimes. On Tuesday lunchtimes, he's playing fetch. They would bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. Enjoying a cup of tea together. 4-leaf clover, my story is over.